Welcome once again to another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and what we have this time is a new line, this time that I'm doing the video that Mark has brought in at Chef Knives to Go. So this is the Tojiro Hairline, or another name for a brushed finish. We'll talk about that. Shirogami, which is white number 2, Santoku 165mm knife. So this is a high value line Mark brought in. And the core steel is a Shirogami or white paper number 2 reactive high carbon steel from Hitachi. The heat treat's pretty conservative 60, so these will be nice and forgiving. The construction is a soft iron cladding on either side of that harder core steel, so it's an all-reactive knife. And the cladding does cover, looks like it covers the spine. The weight and dimensions are going to vary from these a little bit from knife to knife as the way they're made. This particular one is 117 grams or 4.1 ounces. The edge length about 165 on the money, about 6.5 inches. And the overall length about 11.9 or about a foot, 12 inches approximately. The spine thickness, it's pretty thick coming out of the handle. And it's 3.1 on over the back of the blade at the chin back here. But it thins up real fast off of that and then thins down. I should have taken a measurement, but it looks like it's under 2 or maybe 2-ish. The rest of the blade, and then it starts actually thinning up more as you get towards the curve and the sheep's foot tip on it. So it gets pretty skinny towards the very, very tip, especially with the grind. So this is going to be no slouch in the performance department. The blade height is 49.2, so it's a generous blade height. And again, these will vary a little bit from knife to knife. You've got loads of clearance on the cutting board. Depending on your finger size, it's kind of in between getting your finger in that curve at the back of the blade, the choil into the neck, but you've got a spot there, so you got loads of ground clearance. Handle, this is a basic, economy knife line, so they've got just the basic D-shaped right-hand D on them. Handles that are just hoe wood and a plastic resin ferrule, and you'll have a step between the wood and the ferrule. You could sand that down if you felt like it. Or not, it's a basic handle they put on there. The handle does have some gaps in the tang install, so you probably want to seal that up so you don't get any water in there, so no rust develops or moisture in there. 75 millimeters circumference is where the ferrule meets the wood as far as size goes, so pretty kind of standard size handle. Balance point, it's a pretty light, as we talked about, fairly thin blade for the style. And so the balance point's right about there. It's a little bit in front of that choil or the back of the blade. So it's a little bit behind a pinch grip, but it's a smaller blade. So it's kind of a real light, nimble feel to it. The out-of-the-box edge, it's got a pretty nice looking edge bevel, but they didn't quite get it super sharp. So you've got a good base on this, at least this particular one, to finish sharpen it. So if you're new to sharpening, you might want to have Chef Knives to Go sharpen it for you and pay for their sharpening service to get a good reference point. Or this is also be a great knife if you want to learn how to sharpen. This is an inexpensive, high quality knife that's a good performer with easy to sharpen Shirogami white number 2 steel. So this would be an awesome knife to learn how to sharpen on. Santokus are also really good to learn how to sharpen because they've got a fairly flat profile, as you can see on the edge. And then they're not too long either, so they don't have a lot of belly at the tip. They're actually one of the easier knives to learn how to sharpen. So this would be a fantastic learner for you. So let's take a close-up look at it. So hairline simply refers to this brush finish that goes horizontal with the blade instead of a vertical belt sand type finish. So one of the benefits of that horizontal finish is that when you clean a knife and you wipe it down and dry it, you're doing this with the cloth or the whatever you're wiping and cleaning with, and so the scratches tend to develop in this direction, so that helps hide those scratches. You've got a faux shinogi or bevel on this with a sandblasted finish on it. So the grind kind of comes in a little below that, but so that's just an aesthetic they add on. You can see it's ground fairly thin at the edge because of the amount of edge Shirogami that's showing up here, peeking out from the cladding. So these are ground pretty thin. So they're not going to be any slouch in the performance department. Fit and finish, they've relieved the choil and the neck just a little bit. You could clean that up a little more if you felt like, upping the polish level of this blade. The spine could probably be a little bit more relieved on the edges of the top of the spine, but some people might not worry about it. Just see what you think out of the box. But I would say you want to sharpen this yourself or have it sharpened, just to get yourself covered. But these are cool knives. So here is the profile. It's a pretty typical Santoku profile. It's got a little bit of back belly there. This is actually a tiny high spot here. You can kind of see that. That could be cleaned up real easily and kind of smooth that out. But I can get it fairly high. So this should be kind of a good short rocker or push-pull. It's not a big chopper. You can see the profile's not super flat, but just kind of a pretty medium Santoku profile. Oh, also, I neglected to say, it does have some kanji in it, and it's pretty cool because it's embossed. It's stamped in there. You can kind of see that from the back side, but it's got a pretty close approximation to kind of some chiseling, so it's pretty neat. You have to look pretty close and say, is that chiseled or not? And it's not. It's embossed or, you know, stamped in there, but it's a pretty cool effect. I did a nice job on that. So there you have an economical knife line that would be great to learn on for sharpening, or if you just want something inexpensive for learning reactive knife and how can I care for it or not. This might be a great option for you. So this is the Tojiro Hairline or brush finish Shirogami or white steel Santoku 165mm knife.